Welcome everybody to a, another You Are Happy Show. Okay, so welcome everybody to another You Are Happy Show. Uh, Apologies to everybody. We ended up changing day and time of our show from Monday to Thursday, so that's why we've had a little bit of a delay the last week or two here, but we are back now. So the You Are Happy Show is with Melanie Rakirka as host and part of the World of Ability Podcast Network. And special thanks to Marcus, Jay, Zach, and Lawrence for having this show on their platforms. But I am going to hand it over to Melanie to get it started, though.
Hey, everybody. Well, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for listening. It was funny. Right before we started this, Emily and I were talking about last time we talked about mental fitness. So now she's hearing mental fitness like everywhere, right? So mental fitness is a couple different aspects. It's your mental, it's your physical, it's your well-being, but also includes your diet, your exercise. So it's all just kind of combined in one, especially since it all affects you mentally. But there are a lot of terms coming up that people are going to kind of conspue, I guess you could say, and not really understand when they come at you, because they're these big words that mean these little things, right? Or these little words that mean these big things. And it's not as overwhelming. I don't want you to be overwhelmed when it comes to fitness. We have enough stuff in our world to worry about how we're overwhelmed and how we can handle that. Amari has come out with these fantastic products that I'm going to talk about Amari just a little bit, because every time something new comes out, I just get blown away. So the big difference is that Amari is from other companies is we resource from different places. We don't grow our own saffron. We don't grow within the United States. We don't grow different grains of paradise. We don't reproduce it. We actually go to where it's grown, and then we pay them fair wages in order to do it. It's also tested with heavy metals, GMOs. I mean, it is a company that I'm very proud, because I am like almost a snob when it comes to that stuff. Super snobby when it comes to the supplements. I have to know like where this strain came from and how it's going to affect my body, and then different stuff like that. But there is a couple things that came up when I'm taking a mental wellness course. It came up. Now, if you ever started a new supplementation program or a new diet and your body kind of goes crazy for a couple weeks, that is normal. And why is that normal? So let's use exercise, for instance. You started your exercise program, you feel kind of achy, you feel kind of, maybe weird at first, you're not quite right. Well, foods, diets, and supplements can do the exact same thing to you when you're first starting off. Your body kind of gives a, what is that? Right? Why am I doing that? How come this is going in my body? And then it adjusts as needs. You usually want to give it about 3 months if it's fermentation, 2 to 3 weeks for some other aspects, depending on what you're taking. If it hasn't improved or you just taken it and nothing has gone on, you need to kind of reevaluate it and see if that is what is working. So interesting stuff. So just like exercise, supplementations can do the same thing. Body reacts to it. So there are some major words coming up with mental wellness. Now, the gut brain heart connection, right? If the gut and brain is not working or communicating together, then it stops communication and causes chaos. So you have these little neurons that go like this, right? And if they are misfiring and they're not communicating, they can't communicate like this. They're more going like this, right? Or all over the place. And they can't send signals back and forth to tell your body, hey, calm down. Hey, this is not really worth stressing out about. Hey, this is worth stressing out about. Hey, I need you to do this. And it really, if it's not communicating, kicks in what's called the fight and flight. Fight and flight means a great example. You're going to a networking group or you're going to a family function and your brain starts talking you out of it. That is a fight and flight. It can happen in many different situations. It can happen through so many different ways. So you want to start the communication going so the fight and flight does not get activated, and then you're able to move forward instead of your brain telling you, I need to leave. See that door behind me? I must go through it, and I am not coming back. So that is one way to get the communication going. Another way is if sadness or anger or different things come on, you need to open up the communication there. That could have been the food you ate. It could have been you're off your routine. It could have been that your body needs a little bit different supplementation. It could be that you need to go for a walk, and and it's funny because when walk came up, the first thing that came to my head is, I don't know how many of you are tired of it, but I'm tired of telling people telling me when I'm stressed out, take a couple deep breaths and everything will be okay. That is not always the case. Sometimes it is, but it's not always the case. Okay, so the first term that I want to kind of go over is GABA, right? You hear people say GABA. This is a transmitter, right? The primary function of GABA is, if your GABA levels are good inside your body, is relaxation. But if it's abnormal, it can lead to tension, anxiety, and insomnia, right? How can this be helped? Gut nutrition. All this goes back to great gut nutrition to get the signals. Um, then we have dopamine. You're hearing dopamine everywhere. So dopamine is motivation and reward. That's what it does. But if it's not working correctly, it's fatigue, depression, lack of enthusiasm, or lack of enjoyment. Serotonin. Hear huge things about serotonin these days. That's mood and happiness. That's exactly what it is. That's why you hear me talk about happy juice all the time. Mood and happiness. But if that is not in check, then that's depression. Is what that can happen. Epinephrine or adrenaline, adrenal fatigue, right? You hear alertness and vigilance, but stuff that can be that is the primary function. But the suboptimal, which is when it goes crazy, that's your brain fog and your fatigue, right? Again, gut health. Histamine, stress response, immune support, right? You think of allergies, histamine, but that's irregularly frequency, cold, flu, and allergies. And guess what? A lot of the cold and the immune system, 90% of it is in your gut. So you need to get your gut in check. And we'll talk about there's different grades and different fermentations. Oxytocin, oxytocin, yeah, I think it's that right. Feeling of connections and trust, and then the opposite, social disconnection, loneliness, and isolation. Isolation was huge during COVID. It's still huge. And what happens these days is triggers. Triggers can happen when different things happen. So I could mention COVID. It can remind you of loneliness, the loneliness that you felt. You can hear a song that when you're in there, different things can happen to make your brain shift, and then you have to shift them back in order how to help with that. Brain diversion, neuropathic factors, which is the growth stimulants, are brain plasticity. It has memory problems, brain autopathy, and dormitia. I hope I said that right. But that, again, the gut brain is not communicating. It can't open up signals. Everything starts going crazy like this, and your body starts going crazy. Epinephrines, that's pain control and pain. That definitely can be blockers as well. Endocannabinoids. Now, these are regular homeostasis balance, which is pain, memory problems, tension, anxiety, and insomnia. So those are just some of the big terms. If I didn't pronounce them correctly, I totally apologize, but I did my best. a lot of times when I remember going to the store, they just told me to go get a probiotic. They're like, your stomach, your IBS is acting up. The doctor said, just go get a probiotic. Took probiotics for 5 years, not even really knowing what a probiotic did. And then I just knew that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to when I read up on it. I was still having IBS issues. I was still having major bloating. I was still having problems, which means something different needed to happen, right? So probiotic strands, you can actually, there's a number behind the probiotic strand that you can look it up and see what probiotic strand is good for what. So there's some for stress and anxiety, there's some for weight loss, there's some for your heart, there's some for your um, cardiovascular system. It just depends on what is needed. But if you're taking a probiotic that is not needed and it is synthetic, which means it's not coming from a real source, your body can do a couple different things. It can flush it out, or it can hold on to it and cause chaos. And when it holds on and causes chaos, it actually stops the signals from going on in your body, and instead of increasing the signals. So you want something in your body that's going to increase your signals. And I always say, find your magic sauce. Make sure you find your magic sauce of what is for you, because I am different than Emily. Emily is different than me. There's no reason why we should be taking the exact same supplementation if that is not what our body requires. Such as if I'm having pain signals that day that are going off in my back and my neck are absolutely killing me, but Emily's feeling great with the pain, but she's having focus issues that day. You have to have your magic sauce on what exactly goes on. There's some baseline things that need to happen, such as you hear about multivitamins, right? So there is a time for multivitamins when you should be mega dosing, and there's a time for multivitamins when you should just be flatlining and taking what your body is recommended every single day. Now, the reason I say that is some, not all, some have these mega doses in it every single day. And that's when you see 3,000% of vitamin C and you see 1,000% of biotin. Your body don't necessarily need that every single day. So your body might need 3,000% of vitamin C when it is trying to fight off a cold or building your immune system, but it doesn't need that every single day. So you want to make sure that you're only putting those mega doses in your body when it needs, because it actually can go the opposite way. And it's not really reversal, but again, stops those signals and says, I don't need this. And then it's not going to, if you don't back off and then go back on it, it's not going to allow those signals to start connecting again. And your immune system is going all over the place. You're getting sick all the time and you're not feeling well. You don't really know why you're not feeling well. You just know that, hey, I took my vitamin C. I guess vitamin C doesn't work anymore, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's true. Same as there's mega doses of different vitamins that you might need at different times. You don't necessarily need what is it? Vitamin D, you need a certain level of it every day, but you don't need a mega dose of it every day. You need to really be sure that what you're taking is what you're needed, and those baselines are there for your body to function. And then when you are having troubles or issues, then you can talk with your coach and see what is needed that day, what is not needed, how you're going to balance it out. Hormones is a great thing, like a hormone balancer compared to a hormone. That is another topic actually for another day, because the hormones are pretty tricky. And I know I got on a hormone at one point, and what I didn't want to get on a medication, but doctor talked me into it. I got on a hormone, and what they kept saying to me is, if this stops working in 2 to 3 months, we need to up your dosage. and keep upping and upping and upping the dosages because my body will get used to it. So I'll just keep needing higher and higher dosages. And I really wasn't happy with that because I didn't want to go on a medication. And that's just my belief. It's a time and place for it. There were different balancers out there. I just needed my body balance to make sure I was feeling well and go from there. So, Emily, do you have any questions?
Well, I think it's
hold on, I gotta find my mute button.
Yes. I think it's all very interesting. Let me.
So you heard about like the serotonin, dopamine. You said the mental fitness, right? You hear it every time now. So are you hearing any of these terms even more and more come out?
I'm not sure about specifically dopamine and the other one, but I know I've heard
serotonin.
But I know I've heard the mental fitness a little bit more than since that show. Even though I've heard
to hear what you hear this week, right?
I mean, I know I've heard those words enough quite a bit, but not. Yeah, it's been more of the mental fitness word as of recently since that show. So
and that gut-brain connection, right? You're going to hear that a lot more. I hear a lot of different companies and ones that just are fruits and vegetables, that the gut-brain connection, but you do need fermentation, and that's a lot what probiotics are, is a type of fermentation to kill that bacteria, that bad bacteria that builds up in your body. So if you're having a stressful day and then the next day you just feel kind of groggy, that's the bad bacteria in your gut just building up.
We don't need that, or very much of that all the time.
And it's not as easy as going like I used to go take a kombucha or do a different fermentation. But what if that is not the strand of bacteria that deals with stress? But TV told us it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, everything doesn't work for everybody. Like each person has their own thing that will help with dealing with stress and that kind of thing. So it might not be the same for every.
No, and you got to realize that that's okay, and that's one of the reasons I chose to partner with Amari is because we have such a broad range of things that you can kind of get on something for a couple months to see, and then if that doesn't work, take it out, put something else in to find your own magic sauce and stuff that necessarily won't hurt you. Not a high dosage. I thought the high dosages was interesting because a lot of vitamin companies have these high dosages of stuff, but it's not always needed. It can actually do the reverse effect. And some of these companies are actually built on that, because then you have to take another product because you're have a side effect to this, but you still stay on that product and then add that and add that and add, and that's what they want.
To get more money, whatever. But I would think that not everybody would be on the same, like the dosage would be different for everybody too.
Yeah.
Well, if you start somebody, I guess either way, either high or low, it might not work for them because their level could be somewhere in the middle. I mean,
well, you can use Happy Juice, for instance, right? So Happy Juice is 3 components, but if your stomach is reacting to it, we need to play with the amount that you put into your Happy Juice. So Happy Juice is like serotonin and dopamine levels. That's what it plays for. It's your happy transmitters in your body. that it triggers. But some people need, like, I've had somebody needed 2 packs of the energy, half of the probiotic prebiotic phyto, and then they can only handle like a quarter scoop of the edge, which that was their magic sauce, and that's what they did. I had people do the opposite. Opposite of that, because they were fine. Their stomach was fine on the antibiotic. So
yeah, it's all very interesting.
yeah. But when you take a multivitamin, one, there's no warning labels on Happy Juice, right? But if you go and you take a different product, there might be a warning label. Why is there a warning label if it's supposed to be all natural? That's number one.
Yeah.
to watch out for is if there are any warning labels on it. If they have warning labels and they say they're all natural, then I'd be very cautious with it. And then just know the person that you're talking to. Know if they have access to, higher level people. The person that developed the product, or the science behind it, or somebody else who can ask for the science and have somebody else read the science that knows what it is, because sometimes it's not what it says it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of those
I always need
because some of those things are like really long words, and I couldn't even like pronounce some of the on anything, not just with
or it has like
Amari stuff.
Yeah, it has all these numbers and the strain. Like if you go in the probiotic, they have this big long name and all these numbers behind it, and I'm like,
yeah, I can't pronounce it, let alone know what it is. It could be some who knows what.
Right. So it doesn't hurt to reach out to somebody who knows how to read it. One thing,
or knows what it is, or something.
That Amari did is they did like they have their data fact sheet that shows everything like that, but then I say it's a fact sheet for dummies, which is the one that I like. How to have those books out that I can actually read. But if you want to know more, or you want to show it to somebody else that can,
if you wanted to know more of the science word for whatever it is.
Because some people will also, another thing you have to be careful of, if they're not using somebody else's science. Sometimes a product is using somebody else's science, and they're not actually using the science behind their products. So Amari actually took all the scientific data off our site because that was happening, and put it into our hands so that we can share it with you, because our scientific data was being stolen by other companies.
That's really good.
And they were using it because they had something similar.
Well done.
I'm like, okay, nice to be honest, people.
Yeah, it's such a good practice to learn from somebody else, including it's
nice to be honest. But then they can have a website that looks absolutely fantastic, but they didn't do any research on their product. They can just say that the name I can't pronounce, like one of the bacterias does stress relief, but they took that part of our research and just farted on.
They didn't make sure that's really what it helped with.
And it doesn't say that their research won't say that that strand is compatible with like saffron, or if it's compatible with another thing, Emily, that's really interesting to think. I need you to Google this real quick. Are you near your computer?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Google Ritalin versus saffron. This blew my mind. Did you pull it up?
Yeah, how I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay, Ritalin. I hope if I spelled correctly.
I am rarely spell stuff correctly. Let me know when you pulled it up. I'll do mine on here too.
So is it like doing like two different things?
Well, Ritalin is the drug that they give for the ADHD kids. Why can't I spell it either? And then it's telling you here, so I'm just going to read it. It shows the deficiency of saffron is comparable to Ritalin. Saffron is more effective for treating hyperactivity symptoms, while Ritalin is more effective for inattention symptoms.
Well, because hyperactivity and inattention are kind of the it's could be two symptoms for the same thing.
Right. And it says right here that saffron stimulates the secretion of dopamine, serotonin, neoadrenaline transmitters associated with ADHD and may improve cognitive, emotional, and behavioral abilities, as well as sleep patterns. Yeah, and there's a study along with that. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I always say that God gave us everything that we need. It's just that humans think they can do it better.
And it's interesting because inattention and hyperactivity are kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Which kind of proves it, right? It's saying that Mother Nature does the same thing, but
and not using the drug thing.
But you also have to make sure it's pure, because you can go to a natural food store, pick up saffron, think that you can make saffron rice, put it in your rice. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Different dosage, different strand, difference where it was farmed from, how it was farmed, how it was tested. There's no heavy metals, GMOs, or if it's watered down.
Yeah.
Isn't it lovely how we're not regulated?
Yes. But we are humans, that's human beings for you.
Yes, yeah, we always think we can do better some way. So, all right, Emily. Well, that is our half hour is up. I hope I at least cleared some stuff up for people, because those terms are going to be coming out in full force here soon. Yeah. If not, if people haven't already heard of the dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, and and how they can clear it up to the gut. You can always find me at youarehappygirl.com.
Oh, Kurt.
I saw Kurt pop in.
What did you think of our conversation, Kurt?
Oh my gosh, it's captivating, compelling, and it's what happiness is made of. So it's good stuff, a good show. And so we have our HNP ambassadors. So you are happy, girl. I mean, it's all right here. So looking forward to the next one for sure.
Yeah. Should be a lot of fun.
Fun's what we're all about. What's fun gets done.
That's right. And you're back on your skis soon, so you'll be really happy.
That's right.
Yeah, you'll guys be out. We'll be out on the water in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is, right?
That's right.
That's crazy. That went by way too fast. Way too fast. So,
But Kurt, do you have anything you want to say for closing the show?
Well, always great to have the You Are Happy show, a great addition to our lineup at the World of Ability Podcast Network, and in our business of spreading happiness around the world with the Happy Neighborhood Project, the happiest place in the world for business people. We're in zip code HAPPY, and whatever we can do to build your happiness, that's what we're here for. So I guess we have our You Are Happy girls. So I guess I'm working at this to see if I can become maybe the You Are Happy guy, but time will tell. All right.
that would be awesome. I just have a little something that can help. No.
All right. I need all the help I can get, folks.
I totally hear you. All right, until
Okay.
next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
All right, now it's time to hop on HNP, isn't it?